Welcome again to Mindful Yoga. So in yoga, there's a word called avidya. And what it basically means is forgetfulness. Yoga believes that in the busyness of our lives, in the drama of our lives, we tend to overlook the still, silent part of ourselves. Our true nature is wide and open, just like the sky. But with all the stuff in our lives, all the turmoils and struggles, etc., we forget about that. So to cultivate more peace in our lives, we want to rest more as our sky-like awareness, so that things can move through our lives, but we can stay connected to our eternal being. So we develop an inner base of strength, calm and contentment. So in our yoga practice, we move through a pose or a series of poses and we pause in between, as some of you are familiar with. And that's so that we can experience the energy that's been released in the pose. When we pay attention to it, it magnifies, and it also magnifies the healing effects. And what also is happening here is absorbing our attention. So in our poses, this is the perfect place to practice mindfulness and what's happening now, and remembering our peaceful nature through breath and relaxing. So we've learned the Durga Pranayama breath, a 3-part breath, breathing into the belly, letting it rise to the top, and exhaling top to bottom, the Durga Pranayama 3-part breath. Today we're going to learn the Ujjayi breath. Perhaps you're familiar with this breath. It translates as the ocean sounding breath, or we contract the throat just a little bit, as if we're fogging up a mirror, but with the mouth closed. So we breathe in and out through the nose, but with that little contraction, you can hear a little sound, like the ocean. And you can make that louder or softer, depending on what is happening. Maybe in the middle of a pose that's strenuous, you make that sound a little bit stronger. So let's begin by, again, finding ourselves very comfortable, bringing the sits bones back a little bit so we can be grounded. However you're sitting, make sure that your low back is not rounded. The low back is pulled in. We can be tall in the spine, wide in the shoulders, and extend from the tailbone, between the shoulder blades to the base of the skull, and out through the crown of the head. So make a note if your head might be a little forward. We want to tuck it back in. We want the ears over the shoulders, stacking over the hips. So let's just close the eyes. Let the eyelids rest over the eyes. Relax all the muscles of your face, and just allow that relaxation to flood your body. And just take these few moments to notice the peace that comes with the stillness. Let the breath flow into the belly. We never force the breath. As we relax, the breath gets deeper. We let the exhalations extend a little bit longer. And just follow the movement of our natural breath. Every exhalation, we relax more and more. The body comes into greater ease, and the mind becomes a little less active, because we're now focusing our attention inside. And again, imagine that blue, open, wide sky. Remembering this is our true nature. Exhaling all the breath out, drawing the navel back into the spine. Next breath is a little bit deeper. Again, we never want the breath to create any kind of struggle. So just relax into the breath, as if the body is breathing you. Notice your jaw, or those places that tend to grip. And just help them to soften by bringing your attention there. And you can add your Ujjayi breath if you like, that ocean breath. So this is slowing the passage of breath through the throat. Further calming the nervous system, sending messages to the brain and the body that we're safe. Give yourself full permission to release, to let go. And we'll chant one sound of Om. So let's take a deep breath in. And exhale, release that breath fully. And again, inhaling deeply. Just allow those vibrations to further deepen your awareness of this place of contentment within you. And allowing your eyes to slowly open. We're going to work a little bit on balance today, so as I mentioned earlier, maybe have a block or even just a water bottle or something handy, because we're not using it for support today. So slowly make your way down onto your back. Bend your knees, widen your feet to the sides of the mat and allow the knees to fall in towards each other. Just relax here. Feel the weight of your body into the earth. Become aware of the body. Let your breath flow freely. The Dirga Pranayama 3-part breath. Softening your eyes and jaw, shoulders, elbows, hands and fingers. Your spine sinking down into the earth. Your pelvis, your legs, knees, ankles, the feet and the toes. We're going to activate our core by taking that next breath in and exhaling, drawing the navel back into the spine and pulling up gently on the pelvic floor. This can be a little challenging, but it gets easier with time. So you're really activating those deep core muscles. So continue this, inhaling, belly, ribs, chest. And as you exhale, drawing the navel in and pulling up the pelvic floor. So a little contraction. Deep inhalations, maybe softening a little bit here. And exhaling, feeling that contraction. Really activating the core muscles. And then go ahead and lengthen out one leg and then the other. Flex your ankles and reach through your heels. Get nice and long through the low body. And then let's bring the arms up overhead and reach in both directions now. Get nice and long. Even feeling, again, the core engaging on those exhalations. And just feel that nice stretch through the body. And inhale, softly release. Bring the arms to your sides. Let's go ahead and bring the arms up overhead once more and get a nice side stretch. So we're just going to reach the arms over to the right and walk the feet over to the right corner of your mat. You can take a hold of your left wrist with your right hand if it feels good. And if you've come over and you feel as though you can get even more of a stretch through the left side, you can cross your left ankle over your right. If that doesn't feel right, just keep the feet together. And now sending those breaths deep, you can feel that left side body expanding, opening, stretching. Exhale, soften, release. Long, slow exhalations. One more. And then we'll inhale and release. Bring the feet back to center, the arms, the torso. And then we'll bring the torso up over to the left a little bit, bringing the arms reaching to the left, and then walking the feet over to the left as well, to the left corner of your mat. And just maybe taking a hold of your right wrist, feeling what it's like here. And only if it feels right, then maybe crossing the right ankle over the left. Finding that perfect position and stretch that's right for you in this moment. And just follow your breath. Let it be deep, long, and slow. Inhales and exhales. On your next breath in, slowly release. Release your arms by your sides. Bend one knee and then the other. Keep the chin just a little tucked so the back of the neck is nice and long. Feel your low back into the mat. And then we're going to bring up one foot and then the other. And we're going to extend both legs up overhead. And then reach both arms overhead. This is our dead bug position. So it's a nice inversion, nice gentle inversion. But we're going to add some movement to this with our breath. We're going to take a breath in and exhale. We're going to lower the right arm and lower the right leg. You don't have to come all the way. You're using good core strength here. So on this exhalation is drawing the navel in, the pelvic floor up. Inhale, come back up. And exhale now the other arm, left arm down, left leg down. Inhaling up. And continue this a few more times on your own, going nice and slow, linking the breath with the movement. So in balance, we really need our core to be strong so you can feel your core active here. Inhaling, exhaling. Again, the navel in, pulling up the pelvic floor. One last time on the other side. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhale, come back up. Let's keep both legs up and the arms up, but let's rotate the ankles and the wrists. Not forgetting to breathe. Let's go the other direction. And you can still feel your active core. Let's go ahead and bring the knees into the chest. Reach your hip bones away from you, the tail away from you. Again, the back of the neck long and the floor as you press the thighs into the chest. And then inhale, lower the feet to the mat. Again, inhaling, bringing the arms overhead, and see if you can take a hold of opposite elbows with your hands. And then bringing the elbows up overhead. So they're directly facing the ceiling. We're going to take a breath in, keeping the knees together. Exhale, the knees to the right and the arms over to the left. So we're getting a nice twist. Again, those deep breaths bring you up, and the long, slow exhalation brings you over to the left, to the right with the arms, the left with the legs. Couple more times, inhaling now to the opposite side. Just allowing your neck and head to move as it feels good for you. Last time on this side. And last time on the other side. Inhaling, coming back up to center. And once again, just tuck the knees into the chest. Lower the feet to the mat. Again, let the knees knock in towards each other. Let the arms rest by your sides. And just take a few moments to drop back inside to experience any sensations that are in the body. We know this is energy. It's moving and shifting. And as you focus on those sensations, notice how it magnifies. Let it expand and spread with your awareness. When you feel ready, we can slowly make our way up onto our hands and knees in tabletop pose. So remember to stack your shoulders above the wrists, and the middle of your wrist is in line with the outside of your shoulder, approximately, spreading the fingers wide. The hips are above the knees. And your knees and feet are about hip width apart, with the top of the feet on the mat. Not letting the belly drop down, pull it in, lengthen from tail through crown. We're going to begin with a few cat and cows. So coordinating the breath with the movement, we're going to inhale, let the tail begin to lift. As you move through the spine, the belly drops. The elbows can bend a little bit as you bring the heart through and lift your gaze. And exhale, curling the tail under, drawing the navel into the spine and dropping the head down, pressing the floor gently away. Inhaling, coming again. Again, just coordinating the breath with the movement, being in tune with breath. As if you're in a deep meditation with this movement. Once more, inhaling to our cow pose. Exhaling to the cat pose. And then coming to neutral. And we can walk the hands a bit forward here. Keep them nice and wide. Keep the fingers wide. And take a breath in and exhale. We're going to sit back towards the heels. Maybe not all the way. And then we're going to inhale and come up. And exhale, sitting back. You might want to add a little bit more of a cow pose as you come up. So inhaling, maybe lifting the tail a little bit more, reaching the heart through. And exhaling, more of a cow pose, tucking the tail and rounding. We're just getting as many movements into the spine as we can. And you might want to add some circles here. Maybe continue as you were. If it feels good, add some circles. Remember, as small or as large as feels good. And if you're making those circles, just go ahead and go the other direction. Continue your deep breaths. And then coming to a neutral position, back to tabletop. So walking the hands back underneath your shoulders. Keep those fingers spread wide. So we're going to come into a simple balance pose called balancing cat. And again, we need to activate our core here. So we don't want the belly hanging down. We don't want to be all, relaxed and heavy. We want to be strong in the arms. So as we press the floor away, draw the navel in, and on those exhalations, we activate the core by pulling up the pelvic floor muscles. So let's take a breath in and bring the right foot back, coming onto the toes. And then we're going to shift our weight into the right hand and bring the left hand forward, touching the mat. So drawing that navel in, activating that core and reaching through the crown. We're going to take a breath in and lift that left hand and the right foot, keeping the right ankle flexed, the palm of the left hand facing in, the crown of the head forward. And exhale, we're going to lower. So notice the core strength necessary for this balance. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Try to keep the toes of the right foot down and hip height. Inhale, come up, reaching in opposite directions. Exhale, lower. 2 more. Inhale, lift and reach, pressing away from on the mat. Exhale, down. Last one. Inhale, lift, reach. Exhale, lower, and release that left hand, that right knee back. Maybe you need to rotate your right wrist or shake it out, yeah? Sometimes it's helpful to take your hand and wrap it around the wrist and rotate that. Good. Fingers. When you feel ready, coming back. If you need to make fists, you can do that. If your wrists are getting uncomfortable. Again, stacking the shoulders above the wrists, hips above the knees. And this time taking that breath in and bringing the left foot back. And bringing the right arm forward onto the mat. And inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Long, deep breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Remember to keep the right palm facing in, left heel flexed up towards the sky. Inhale. Exhale, lower. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Inhale. And exhale. Draw the right hand back in, left knee down, and go ahead and sit right back in child's pose. Remember, you can widen your knees if that feels better. Maybe your forehead doesn't come to the mat. You can put a block under there. And maybe bring your arms alongside your body with the palms up if that feels good. And again, just witness the energy that's now shifted and moving in your body a little bit. And just enjoy this release. Come back into that peace, that calm, that wide open sky. On your next inhalation, slowly come back up. Remember, you can always pause in child's pose. We're going to come into downward dog. If you prefer, you can come into child's pose or puppy pose. I think we did puppy pose last week. It's a great alternative. We can reach in opposite directions and get that length in the spine. But if you'd like to come into downward dog, your shoulders are over the wrists, but then we're going to walk the hands a little forward. So now they're not directly over the wrists. Be sure that the hands are wide enough apart and the fingers are wide. So we want to take up as much space with our fingers as possible. And here we want to curl the toes under. They're still hip width apart. We're going to take a nice breath in, pressing into the mat, lifting the knees and bringing the hips back. The arms come alongside the ears. We can keep the knees bent here. And we can come onto the toes and come higher. But keep pressing away from the mat, away from the floor. We don't want to shift forward, bringing the shoulders over the wrist. We want to keep reaching back. And then we can pedal one foot and then the other. That's reaching the heel down towards the floor one at a time. Getting a nice stretch in the hamstring. Don't lose that connection of your hands, pressing into all parts of the hand. The first finger and thumb tend to lift. Breathe. And then come to a steady dog. Most people like to keep the knees a little bent. You can try to straighten, but if it compromises this length in the spine, then you want to keep them a little bent. And then come onto your toes, gaze forward between your hands, and slowly walk your feet towards your hands. And just coming into a nice forward fold. You want to generously bend the knees. This is going to allow your pelvis to tilt forward. If the knees are straight, then the hamstrings might pull the pelvis back and compromise your low back. So let the tail lift, bend the knees, let the crown of the head reach towards the floor. We're not trying to get the forehead to the knees. We're just letting the heart reach down and the crown of the head reach down towards the earth. Again, mindful breaths, long, slow exhalations. And then bringing your hands to your shins or maybe on the floor in front of your toes. We're going to come up halfway with a neutral spine. Pull the shoulders back. Let the tail lift and reach again from tail through the spine, out through the crown. Breathe. And exhale, bend the knees once more, coming down. And then placing your hands on your hips. Bring the elbows in and back. Lift your head and chest, pressing into your feet. Slowly come up to standing. Good. And it might feel good to roll the shoulders a little bit. Good. And just rest here for a moment. Close your eyes unless you feel you will compromise your balance. Just keep your eyes soft. And just feeling every sensation that arises. Let your attention be absorbed in all that energy. You can be breathing your Durga Pranayama breath, a 3-part breath, and maybe with a soft Ujjayi breath, the ocean sound. And then opening your eyes when you feel ready. So grab that block or book or water bottle and bring it in front of you. Now we're going to be working on our balancing a little bit. So remember, balancing can be challenging, but we want to focus on that core. That's what we need for balance, is to keep that core nice and strong. So let's just first plant our feet down. We can bring them a little bit closer, almost touching. If that doesn't feel right, just find a comfortable position for your feet. And you want your feet to take up as much space as possible. So I like to spread out my toes, root them down, and really spread the feet out. Let your weight come down into the feet. And when you press down into the feet, you can begin to feel the body extending up, coming up through the spine and out through the crown of the head. We don't want to lock the knees back. We want to keep them just a little soft. Feel the upper buttocks coming down and in. As you press into the heels, feel the backs of the thighs lifting up towards the buttocks. Fronts of the thighs are lifting, navel pulling in a little bit. Lengthening your waist off the pelvis, keeping the head tucked back a little bit, chin parallel to the earth. Maybe roll the shoulders back and down gently, reach the fingertips towards the earth. And again, re-root the feet. Notice if they've shifted, all 4 corners of the feet planted down. This is our mountain pose. So from here, we're just going to begin rocking a little bit from one foot to the other. Just testing out the waters. And then we're going to lift one foot, lower it, and lift the other. Just getting a feeling for our balance. Good. And then we're going to shift our weight into the left foot, lifting up the right and holding for a moment. Breathe. And then lowering the right foot and lifting the left. And then lowering down the left, lifting the right. And here's where our block or water bottle comes handy, because what we're going to do is lean forward and we're going to pick that block up and come back up. Good. And again, shift to the left foot and lower it back down. And then shift to the right foot. So don't worry about falling over, it's okay. That's our balance. So using that core strength, exhale, draw the navel in and pick up that pelvic floor. Feel the weight of that right foot and lean over now and pick up the block. And then again, we'll lower it down. Coming up, good. And we can experiment. Maybe we want to pick up that block, lower it down, come back up, and then maybe pick it up with the opposite hand. And again, switching to the left foot, lowering the block, coming up, and now switching, picking it up with the left hand, coming up, and release. And let's just leave the block there. Good. So we're getting a little feel for our balance. Hope that feels good and no judgments came through. This is again where we notice the turmoil of the mind takes us away from that natural state of being. So just notice that. Another thing in balancing is we tend to forget to breathe. So I'm going to remind you to breathe. We're going to first come to the front of our mat. So we're preparing for warrior pose, and we're going to go into a balance from here. So let's stand with our feet hip width apart, because we're going to take a step back and we want to keep our feet hip width apart. So let's bring the hands onto the hips, pressing into the feet once more, widening those toes, getting that good base, and extending up through the spine, out through the crown. Take that next breath. And as you exhale, we're going to lift up that right foot, little balance again here, and step straight back. Good. And then coming up. Remember last week I taught this pose to bend the knee to come up and then maybe straighten it. Keeping the hips square, left knee's over the ankle. We're going to inhale, bring the arms out and up. So this isn't a balance per se, but it has some elements of balance to it. Exhale, draw the navel in, lift the pelvic floor. Good. And now we're going to come into our balancing pose. So let's bring the hands to the hips. Sometimes a little easier to bring them down. We're going to lean forward into that left foot and drag that right foot with us. And this might be just where you stay today. If you'd like to go further, take a nice breath in. Now we're going to exhale. Now flex that right ankle, keep the toes down, and slowly hinge at the hips. It doesn't matter how far you go. You want to keep a lift in the heart as we lift that right leg and reach in opposite directions. And wherever you are, you can have your hands on your hips. Maybe you want to bring them forward, out to the side, or maybe reaching alongside your body. Wherever you are, just let yourself breathe. Feel your balance. One more breath. And exhale, gently step that right foot back once more, keeping the feet hip width apart. Slowly coming back up to warrior, bringing the arms up overhead. And then exhaling, lowering the hands to the hips. Coming into, bringing our weight into that left foot once more, and bringing that right foot slowly up. And exhaling that foot down. Take that break, lower your arms, close your eyes. Moving back into emptiness, just being here. And recognizing the peace and the calm that naturally arises with this shifting of energy. Again, just let your focus be there. Again, opening the eyes when you're ready. Let's again come to the front of the mat, feet hip width apart. Hands on the hips, standing tall, pressing down into the feet, extending up through the spine and the crown. Shifting the weight now into the right foot, bending the left knee, a little balance first. Inhale and exhale, step that left foot straight back. And I suggest you take a look, make sure your feet are hip width apart. They're not too close to each other. It's going to be hard to be in this pose. And again, coming upright, bending that back knee if you need to. Find yourself nice and tall, belly comes in. And inhaling the arms out and up. Check that the right knee is directly over the ankle. Breathe deeply. Exhale, navel in, pull up the pelvic floor as best you can. One more breath. And exhale, lowering the hands to the hips. And again, coming into our balance, our warrior three. We're going to lean forward, bringing the weight to the right foot, drag that left foot with you. And maybe just stay here. Otherwise, taking that breath in. And exhale, slowly hinging forward. Flex that left ankle. Breathe deeply. Keep those exhalations long. Remember to lift your heart forward and up. You can keep that right knee soft, that's okay. Again, the arms can come forward, out to the sides, or wherever it feels right. You can bring the hands to the heart. Take one more breath in. And exhale, bringing the hands to the hips. Step that left foot back into warrior. Settle in, bring the arms out and up. And exhale, lowering the hands to the hips. Leaning forward, weight into the right foot. Bringing that left knee up. And lower down. Close the eyes. And notice what emotions or thoughts may have been coming through during our balancing. See if you can just let it be. Recognizing that they're just thoughts. They're not who you are. You're the unchanging, still, tranquil, peaceful space. And again, opening the eyes. Let's step the feet a little closer together, maybe hip width apart. I don't think we'll be needing our block anymore. Let's bring the hands together at the heart. Take a deep breath in, let it go. Taking another breath. And exhale, lowering the arms. Inhale them out and up. Exhale the hands together, folding slowly forward. Bend your knees. Drop the hands to the mat. Lift your tail up. Drop the crown of the head straight down. Remember to keep those knees nice and bent. And here in our forward fold now, feel the big toe mounds. Press a little bit more into the big toe mounds and feel how the inner thighs begin to roll back a little bit. Your tail lifting up towards the sky. Take a deep breath into the belly all the way to the top. And as you exhale again, activate the core. Draw your low belly in and pull up the pelvic floor a little bit. Again, half lift, bringing the hands to the floor in front of you or onto the shins, coming up halfway. And exhale, lower down. And coming again into downward dog or puppy pose, stepping back with the right foot and the left. Pressing into the hands, fingers are wide, feeling your nice stretch in your down dog. So you're reaching through the arms, lifting your tail, pressing back through the hip creases to get that length in your spine. And again, remember you can bend the knees as much as you like. Let's take a nice breath in and exhale, lower the knees to the mat. And let's sit back in child's pose. Again, now just this opportunity to be here, to experience just what's here. Feel the sensations that are arising, giving them your full attention. Let your shoulders be heavy, relaxing over the thighs. Letting tensions drain right out. And inhaling slowly, rising up. We're going to come onto our backs, so however that feels good to you, please come onto your backs. So we're going to come into a bridge pose. Feet and knees are hip width apart. Arms can rest alongside your body, and just lengthen your neck by tucking your chin just a little bit. Now let's take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, again, activate your pelvic floor by drawing the navel in and pulling up those muscles. This is the action required in bridge pose. So again, take a breath in. Exhale, draw the navel in, pull up the pelvic floor. And this time we'll come up. So inhale deeply. Long, slow exhalation, activating that core, deep core, and then letting the buttocks lift up. You don't have to come up very high, but feel your back nice and strong, pressing into the feet. I'm also pressing into my upper arms to help lift my chest. So we're going to breathe here, continuing to keep that active core. And we're going to experiment here by coming up onto the toes, but keeping the hips level and not really moving the torso. And then lowering the heels down. And then again, lifting as we exhale and inhale, lower. Again, exhale, coming onto the toes. And inhale, lower down. And this time we're going to experiment lifting one foot up a little bit. So what we can do is keep the left foot on the mat and come onto the right toes. And then see if you can keep your core stable and still and also lift that right foot up. That can be very challenging. So that can take time. And then lower that right foot down. And again, take a breath in. Exhale, come onto the left toe, and then see if you can raise that left foot up, keeping the core still and steady, pelvic floor pulled up, and inhale, release. Once more on the other side, exhaling, lifting. Inhale, lower. If you need to stop, that's fine. And exhale the left. Inhale, release. One more breath. And exhale, let's lower our back down to the mat. Again, let the feet be wide, let the knees fall in. Maybe rock the knees side to side, or maybe pulling the knees into the chest feels good right now after a balance. You might want to circle the knees if your knees are tucked into the chest. You can circle them together or separating them and bringing them in. All works. Remember, this is your practice, following what your body's needs are. If you're circling, go the other direction. Good, and then lower the feet to the mat. Rest your arms, take a breath. And exhale out all remaining tensions. Good, and coming into a nice easy spinal twist, let's step the feet together. We're going to lift the feet off the mat. Keep your tailbone down into the mat and your arms resting out to the sides. If you don't have enough space, you can bend your elbows. We're going to keep the knees glued to each other. Take a nice breath in, and the feet are glued together as well. And we exhale, coming over to the right. If you need something underneath your thigh to support you, you can do that. We really don't want the left shoulder coming up very much. See if you can relax here, maybe drawing the knees closer in towards your chest. Breathe deeply. Remember your Ujjayi breath. It helps to calm us in the midst of our pose, wherever we are. Let's take a breath in, slowly bring the legs back up. And exhale the knees and feet over to the left. Remember, you can place something, a block or a blanket underneath your legs. Breath is smooth and deep and steady, always long exhalations. And notice how the breath relaxes your body. You know that if you're beyond that edge, if your breath can't be relaxed. So notice that. On your next deep breath, slowly bring the legs back up. And let's come into half happy baby pose. Lower the left foot to the mat. Bring the right foot up and place your right arm on the inside of your right leg and take a hold of the outside of your right foot. If it doesn't reach, you can hold your ankle or your calf or behind your thigh. But the idea is to try to bring the foot or the ankle directly above the knee if that's available. So however you need to get there. And breathe here. Again, reaching the tail away from you and drawing that foot straight down. And you can do whatever feels good here. You might want to straighten and bend. And if you're holding behind your thigh, that's okay. Just straighten and bend that leg. You may not straighten it all the way. It's not what you have to do. It's what feels right. And then go ahead and lower that right foot to the mat. Take a breath. Let all that go. And then with the right foot on the mat, bringing the left foot up, left arm on the inside of the left leg, holding the outside of the left foot, or anywhere that feels right. Notice if this side is different. Keep your tailbone flat onto the mat. And now drawing that left foot, straight down towards your knee. The ankle is directly above the knee, or however you need to be. If your hand's behind your thigh, just draw that thigh into the chest and try to reach those toes forward. And use those exhalations, those long, slow exhalations, to feel the contentment that can be found right here in this pose. You know that there's a struggle if you're not feeling at peace here, right? Let it go. And again, if you would like to bend and straighten that leg, go ahead and do that. And then when you're ready, just go ahead and lower that left foot down to the mat. Maybe tuck the knees into the chest, or maybe it just feels good to separate the feet and let the knees fall in. Maybe it feels good to windshield wiper the knees, side to side. And we're going to move directly into Shavasana, which is our corpse pose, our final pose. So when you're ready, just lengthen out one foot and then the other. If you have any discomfort in your low back, you can put a bolster or pillow behind your knees to take some pressure off. Maybe you want a little pillow under your head, but nothing that brings the head too high. Let your feet be comfortably apart. Your arms comfortably away from the body. Give yourself as much space as feels good. Maybe lift the head, tuck your chin and lower back down so the back of the neck is long on the floor. I like to lift my chest and bring the shoulders towards each other and lower down. And make sure your head and neck are in alignment with your spine. Close your eyes. If you have an eye pillow, sometimes that's nice to put on over your eyes. And immediately dive into the body. First feeling, observing, relaxing, letting go. Let your breathing be your focus throughout Shavasana. Following every breath in, every breath out. Being mindful of each breath. And just slowing down the pace of the mind into the pace of the body, the pace of creation. Resting in this peace and contentment that's right here. Your body very still. In the silence of this moment, again, bring your attention to your breath. Let your next inhalation go a little deeper. Feel the belly expand. You might even feel movement in your low back with the breath, the ribs, the chest, maybe even your shoulders. Being present with what's here and bringing your attention to the feet and just feel your toes. You may feel sensations that you didn't feel just a moment ago. And then give them a wiggle. And give your fingers a wiggle. Let's maybe bring the arms up overhead again and stretch out long through the feet, fingers. And then lower the arms, bend one knee and then the other. Bring the knees into the chest. It might feel good to circle the knees once more. A massage for the low back. And maybe going the other way. And then lowering the feet to the mat. Come onto your left side. Maybe bring the left arm overhead, resting your head on your left arm, curling up into fetal pose. Just coming into your center. Coming back into our day, we'll slowly, with our eyes closed, press yourself up. Let's take a deep breath in. Exhale it out. Feel yourself lengthening up through your spine. And notice how relaxed you feel, a little more connected to yourself, a little more comfortable in your skin. Allow your practice to be with you through your day. Let's bring hands together in front of the heart. May you be at peace with yourself as you are and with the world as it is. Please join me in our final Om, ending our practice today, taking a deep breath in. Exhale fully. And again, inhaling deeply. Opening the eyes slowly. Jai Bhagwan. Jai Bhagwan. Thank you.